Welcome, everybody. Today, we are talking about coaches, how to handle coaches. I'd like to say conflict resolution, but it's not really conflict resolution. It's just about how do you handle coaches in certain situations. Most of the time, it's when they are out of control. But sometimes they're just as goofy as we are. Sometimes they like to joke around, or they'll yell and then laugh the very next moment. How do we handle that? How do we get to that point? How do we get the comfort ability with coaches, even ones that we don't know, but hopefully get to a familiarity with those that we do know. So I'm going to start with share sound. Great. I'm going to start with this. I found this online today. Now, I don't normally like to show college games because we talk about high school rules, but I found this and I found it interesting, and I thought I would play it just to see what you all think. I'm going to assume you can all see that. There was a technical foul for those that you don't know. The officials are communicating to each other. Let's see, there's some confusion on the floor. There's the head coach. Just got a technical foul. There's another whistle if you didn't hear it. Not sure where it came from. Okay. I have the coach speaking after that, just so you can hear her explanation as to what happened. And she took it very well. There was no berating of officials, which is usually a good sign of a coach. But we had a play, which had a technical foul, which everyone on the floor, as you could see faces, were kind of confused. They didn't know what was going on. Then the coach came out and was, from what I could gather, I'm going to play it again, somewhat ignored. Now, I realize at the college level, they handle things differently, so I don't want to speak to that, but kind of ignored. So then she comes out a little more aggressively and then got a technical foul. And then there was another whistle. I don't know what it was for. I'm assuming another technical foul because that coach was ultimately ejected. I'm going to play it one more time so you can watch it, and then I'm going to let you hear the explanation of the coach, and then let's talk about what we can do to maybe avoid that situation. And when the coach is speaking, they show a different angle, which is one of the reasons why I put it in there. And you can see more of what happened in the initial technical foul, what was getting called. He ignores her, doesn't turn her way, and then just sticks it. Now, she came all the way out of the box to make her voice known, so I get that. But could we have avoided that whole process?
We talked about different ways that we could show our respect for each other. And one of those was to appreciate the passer, to show that person that you appreciate them setting you up for that shot. It is something that we have done all year. It is something that is second nature to our players. If you come to our practices.
Did you see what happened? Listening to the coach, she said, one thing we teach our players is to show appreciation for the others. So someone who set us up for that shot, we show appreciation. On the video, and I can play it again if you didn't see it, the girl shot and then pointed to her teammate. But she pointed through one of the defenders. And the official took that as taunting. I'm making some assumptions here because I didn't speak to anybody on this game, and so he got the girl for taunting, pointing at her defender. But the coach was saying, whether it's right or wrong, she sounds genuine. She was pointing, and it looks like she was like, hey, great shot. Thanks for that assist. All right. So one, as officials, Now, again, I don't know what else happened in this game. We're only taking a snippet, right, from out. So there might be a whole history built up to this. But if you are going to give that technical foul for that girl pointing because you think she was taunting, we can discuss whether it was or wasn't, but you gave the technical foul, even if you think that you're right. When the coach starts to come out of their box relatively calmly, like they did here, should we ignore them or give them some kind of recognition? The coach is like, wait a second, wait, right? Now look what the official does. He turns right away, doesn't even acknowledge the coach or her question. If it was a technical foul on the coach, absolutely, you don't have to give them the time of day. They know exactly what they did. They can act like they don't. But when it's a player on the floor, on the other side of the floor, on both ends, opposite table and on the other end, don't you think the coach deserves at least a small explanation? Or at least an acknowledgement of, coach, hold on, I'll get to you, or I'll let you know. He just ignores. And then she comes out. Now, that's on her. I get that. A coach can't come out and be more emphatic and yelling and screaming because they're upset. I get that. But the reason that happened is you didn't acknowledge that the coach wanted to know what was going on. All she wanted, from as far as I could tell, all she wanted was an explanation. She didn't have to like it when you gave it to her, but at least give her the explanation. Hey, your kid pointed to the defender and was taunting. No, she wasn't. She was pointing at, well, that's what I saw. And that's what I got. She can at least live with the explanation. We agree?
Yeah, is there something to be said for how that referee was focused on talking to the player afterwards instead of the coach? Whereas he could have put out two fires at once. If he talked to the coach probably would have talked to the player.
Yeah, you can talk to a player. You can give an explanation to a player. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But if you don't give that same explanation to the coach, how is anything going to change or happen? Because that player may say, oh, okay, and didn't even listen to you, right? In one ear, out the other. But if you go to the coach, even if it's in one ear, out the other of the coach, at least you said, coach, I just told you that, or I told you last quarter, right? So that's a good point, is don't just talk to the players, talk to the coach. Here's a high school game. This is from some guy I got online who wasn't happy. Obviously, he says worst refs he's ever seen. But his explanation was they gave the coach a technical foul for saying that one of the players was being singled out. Okay. Then they gave him a second technical foul because he told the ref he wasn't doing his job. And then, of course, when he walks out, everyone was applauding. But I'm going to play it so you know that this is what happened. Okay, we got a play, got a foul. Now, right away, do you see? There's a confrontation. And I think the official does a pretty good job. Again, I don't know how this game is played all the way up to this point. I don't know if there's a history with the official and the coach, but he's questioned on this call and he stops, kind of gives him a stop sign, gives him a little explanation. I don't know how good or bad his tone was, but fine. I think that's okay. You address the coach, right? Now he's engaged, trying to explain to him. The coach is clearly not happy. That was less than 5 seconds. All right, now, before I continue, actually, I'm going to go back. I'll speak while I'm doing it because I want you to see what I'm talking about. He's talking to him here, right? And then watch as after he's done explaining and reports, he talks some more and then he turns. He's ready to start officiating. Right? Here he goes. He reports. He talks to him, which is good. And then they're done. He gave his piece. He turns and he tees him up. Do you see how quickly he turned around? Something was said. I don't know what it was. You can take this explanation from the guy who wrote on this YouTube clip, but something was said that made him turn around and tee him up. But then what does he do? Again, I don't know what he says, and it all is premised on what he says. Less than 5 seconds later, he gives him a second tee. Pretty quick. Now, he could be 100% justified. I'm not going to question on that because we don't know what was said. And this is one of the hardest parts about a meeting like this is, and coaches aren't mic'd up, officials aren't mic'd up. We don't know exactly what was said, but let's just guess. Let's go on what the guy who put the wording on the webpage said. He said he was singling a kid out, which got him the first technical foul. And if we think that is technical foul worthy, depending how he says it or what exactly he says, fine. Right? Saying you're cheating basically, or you're not being fair, whatever you want to say, you give him a technical foul. I'm okay with that. And then if he turns and says, you're not doing your job, don't you think that's just a little leftover of the rant from you were singling a kid out? Can't we allow a little leeway with language unless he used the F word or, maybe he said something more disparaging? I get that. But if he simply says, oh, you're not doing your job. Well, we got to calm ourselves down. We just gave this coach a technical foul, which is a big deal. And then you're going to give him another one in under 5 seconds before anyone can get their emotions to calm back down, right? Technical fouls are all up here, emotion-wise. Not just the coach or the player who gets the tech, but we as officials, as calm as some of us may be, we're up here. You give that technical foul, and we got to bring ourselves down and recompose, which is why we've said your partner should come over and help you, right? Come on over and help, get him out of there because emotions are high. You don't want to bang, 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 you're out, just like that happened here. Does everybody understand that? Any questions at this point? I got more of this clip to play because I want to point a few other things out. Because our emotions are high, he just gave him 2. Look at the way he reports now to the table. Wait how he reports. Don't you think that's a little forceful for a technical foul? You're reporting to the table. You don't need to be so emphatic. I get it when you're teeing a coach up. I get it. Our emotions are high. We're going to give a little. I do that. I'm guilty of putting a little extra, making sure everyone knows how violent or authoritative or whatever it is. But when you report to the table, you don't need to do that. Make it a calmer signal. Then the partner comes over to talk to the coach. He's just gotten 2. So your partner is going to tell him that he's got to go, right? And this partner does a great, great job. He continues to stay in his way, doesn't allow him to walk toward the other official, toward the other side, calmly talking to him, I'm assuming telling him he's got to go, don't make a scene. This is about the kids, let the kids finish. And he stands there and he continues to watch him until he leaves the confines of the gym. He keeps looking. Look, is he gone? Okay, he's gone. And now we can move on with the game. Everybody sees that. As a partner, we aren't up here. We didn't give the technical foul. We're down here. Even if we're heightened because of the whole situation, we're down here. We've got to get over there right away and calm the coach down and take care of it. He's got to get ejected, then we've got to handle that. We've got to do it calmly. And the other official, as much as he was, reporting so violently, he left and he went onto the floor, which was good. Any comments?
Yes, sir. I just had one comment. This is Michael. I guess that kind of bothers me when the other official, after the 2 technicals, now you can walk away, right? Now you can go find a different space on the floor. Now you can ignore the comments. I know everything's hindsight 2020, but it just felt like it got personal. And then the way he was, to your point, kind of relaying to the table the technicals and still pointing at the coach, just kind of reemphasizes that it was just a little personal for him. And we just have to figure out a way to ignore them. And, through our ignoring, I believe our partners have an opportunity to either come in after us and say, hey, calm down. Otherwise, it'll be a problem for you or something like that. And I've worked games like that where your partner, the partner who I didn't know just didn't back me up. on, some verbal abuse coming from the bench, and had opportunities through our switching, had opportunities too, and didn't. And it just escalated where I had to actually tee the coach a second time.
Well, I think, one, to be fair to this guy, again, I don't know what was said, but he was reporting when some other comment was made. And sometimes it's hard. You can't get away right after you give a technical foul because you have to report the foul. So you can't get away. And it happened literally under 5 seconds, boom, and then boom. Hard for your partner to come over that quickly to help out. Although a partner should be trying to come over right away, especially if it's a technical foul on the coach.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think, there's some opportunity, to show restraint because the partner still has to watch the kids who are still on the floor, right? But I think that that you're going to get a reaction after the first technical. You're going to get one. So you can act like you hear that next comment, or you can act like you're ignoring the next comment. But if you hear the next comment and then react to the next comment, then it's just compounding the situation.
Right. So
and like I saw with the female coach, to the point where she gets thrown out for an innocent, not an innocent, she came on the floor, but a situation where it's like, okay, this is wrong. You made a mistake. And she just couldn't articulate it in a way that the referee didn't take offense to it.
I have a question here, and it's really, really, really good, this example. I've learned a lot from this.
Can't hear it.
No. You can't hear me?
Talk louder.
Talk louder?
Yes.
All right. Sorry.
that's
Is
better.
that better?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. When is the point where you, instead of giving a T, you're giving them a warning by saying, if you say something or continue, then I will tee you up a first or second time. When is that? When do you do a warning?
Well, I think in the beginning, he had a great chance to say, that's enough. And it probably would have not escalated. And again, we don't know what was said. Maybe there was something that was said that isn't correct. So, but for me, I would have just said, Coach, that's enough. And then if it continued, then it would have been one. I would have walked to the table and totally ignored him and gave the table so that if he continued, it wouldn't have had to be two. That's what I would have done.
Good point.
So what I think, I'm going to, again, we've said this before, but we don't know what was said, right? So I'm going to take the assumption that the first thing that was said was technical worthy. He deserved a technical foul, whether he was warned prior in the game or he said, you're cheating, you're singling out my kid, you're cheating. He might've said, any multiple of words that came to that. So, all right, fine. Technical foul. He gets 2. At that point, we as officials need to be able to take a little more, let it keep coming as we're reporting. That's where a warning, even after a technical foul, you can have a warning, not an official warning in the book, but you just tee a coach up, technical foul, coach. And then he gets, he's more excited. You're reporting the table. Maybe you don't even report the table yet. And you walk over, coach, you got to calm down, because if you don't calm down, I just gave you one. And if I've got to give you another one, then you have to leave the game. And I don't want to do that to you. So please, and most coaches, when you at least explain to them or tell them, I'm going to give you another one if you don't, not in those words, if I'm going to give you another one if you don't, stop, they calm themselves down. Maybe grudgingly, maybe they've got to be helped by their assistant coaches, like you saw in the first video where she was out of control, and their assistant coaches at the college level, they know, get them over, because if you've gotten one, then they're going to be gone soon because it's not supposed to be handled. So you can give a warning, an unofficial warning to a coach. I don't want to have to do this. I would refrain using the word, coach, I don't want to have to give you a second tee. I don't want to tee you up twice.
No.
That's talk that we talk amongst ourselves and officials. You could say technical foul. And I know you're just speaking to us, Ken, not that you would do that, but you can say, coach, I just gave you a technical foul. I don't want to have to give you another. Or, coach, if you continue, I'm going to have to do something that's going to cause you to have to leave the game or whatever. And try and stay as calm as you can. But we need to be calm. or at least bring ourselves down and make ourselves calmer because we just teed the coach up and he doesn't get teed up calmly, right? The coach is usually up here when he gets teed up. So he's going to continue to vent. Let's let him vent a little, unless obviously, again, he uses the F word or calls you a cheater. Or if he does certain things, I get it. And that might very well have happened to you. I had a game once where the coach MF'd me. I had a no call and he MF'd me. So I teed him up and he MF'd me again and MF'd me again, like 3, 4, 5. And I teed him. It was like, again, like this within 2-3 seconds, boom, and then boom, because there's some language you cannot tolerate. You cannot let go. When they yell and scream and everyone hears them and they're using profanity, okay, sometimes that's what it deserves. But most of the time, coaches don't do that. Coaches are, with their verbiage, pretty even keeled, even when they're upset. All right. Does that make sense, Ken, as far as the warnings? Everyone has a different level. I get that. And everyone throws a technical foul earlier or later than someone else. And maybe today I'm quick on the tee and tomorrow I'm not. Maybe today Tim is the calm one on the court helping me out. And tomorrow I got to help him out because he's all worked up. It's just, that's the way it works sometimes.
Hey,
All right.
Josh.
Yeah.
I want to make one comment. Like you're saying, we don't know what the guy said, but after you call that first tee, you got to let the guy vent unless he says the F word, but you got to calm yourself down because we as officials, we don't want to give a second tee and be the guy to throw the guy out of the game. We want to, okay, the guy says something, you give him a tee, and then you let him say a couple more things, and then you get away. Or he just reacted, okay, bang, okay, you say something, bang, you're gone. But I don't know what he said either, but usually it's our emotion gets to us too, because
and that's a great point, Tim, which I think is worth repeating. Doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time, but if you cannot be the official to give a coach his first and his second technical foul,
right,
much better for you and your crew on the game. Because if it's you who gives the first and you who gives the second, you had a vendetta. This coach didn't like you, you didn't like him, and you wanted him gone. And whatever story could be told, and it can be supported with this, like, oh, look, see, he did it all. It was all this guy.
You suggest, like in a 2-man, because a 3-man, it's easy kind of like to find another spot, right?
Right.
But in a 2-man, where do you suggest standing in the event that you giving a technical and you're kind of like on that side or you're right there? I mean, is there a position that you can, especially because his partner took the ball out on the same side, on table side, but technically, where do you suggest standing?
So in a 2-person game, 3-person is difficult enough in these situations, but at least you've got one guy to watch all the players, and then the other official can come in and help out. In a 2-person game, you don't have that luxury, and you do still need to come and help out. So come over to the table, and you can continue to watch the players as you come over for the most part, and just be a presence. Because if you're the presence and you're close now and the guy does say F you can either get it because you're there, or you can back up your partner saying, yeah, he used the F word at him. And then you go opposite table. I don't care if it ends up being at the trail, if it ends up being at the lead, opposite table. Whatever position is opposite table, that's where you go. Get away from the coach. And sometimes we can say, I teed a coach up, I can handle it. But you know what? I know you can handle it, but it just takes one comment from that coach to then legitimately get another technical foul. And you don't want to be the one to give him 2. So does that help, Michael?
Yeah, I like that answer because, if you're on the baseline and you're the partner, right, you're not involved in it, but you could literally take the ball out on the other side and force your partner to go to the opposite side, which is kind of a way of getting him away from that coach, even though that's not where the ball was placed as a designated spot.
They wouldn't be taking the ball out anyways there. They got to shoot the free throws first.
No, I'm just saying in a scenario where you are right next to the coach, your partner could actually take it out on the other side of the baseline and force you away from that coach to try to, ease that tension for a little while.
Right. And like I said, just your presence. If you get over there, you don't have to get in between the coach and the official. You don't have to make sure you watch everything that they say and do. Just get over there. Get within earshot. So now you can hear, and you are a second party who can say what happened or didn't happen. All right.
Sometimes in 2 or 3 person crews, the pregame that's never discussed. And that's one of the points that I like to bring up when I'm working as just a precaution so that, things like that does not happen. If you do get a coach for the tee, have a game plan to report it and remove yourself from the scene and let the other ref or refs assist you. And I think that's something that has to be stressed in pregame with 2 or 3 person.
I think I don't do it in every pregame because when you work with partners regularly,
yes.
right? Obviously you don't. But when you are working with anyone, even if it's a regular partner and a third that doesn't normally on,
right?
I agree. Hey guys, if we happen to have a technical foul tonight, I think we'll be okay tonight. But if we do, and it's on the coach, just get opposite. Just get away. If you're okay to handle it, fine, but get away anyway, because there's no point in being there.
Right.
That's all, right? 10 seconds, a 10-second, and everyone's on the same page. Fine. Technical foul, get away. Doesn't mean you're weak. Doesn't mean you're afraid of the coach. Doesn't mean you didn't show your authority. It just means you're trying to keep the game moving. All right. Good point, Bob. This has got a little bit of annotation. Well, the coach is giving his opinion here, right? On a call that was missed or made, or I don't know what he's playing. Play continues on down here. We've all moved on. The game is moving on. Even scored a bucket for the other team. We're bringing it back down again. The coach has moved on. He's coaching his kids, yelling out, right? He just wanted to get his say. Now the official's coming in and saying, well, wait a second, coach. I just want to tell you about that. Hey, he's already moved on. You should have moved on too, right? If we focus on the coach every time they have a complaint, we're going to be focusing on the coach all night, right? So if they say something to you, it's okay. You can give them a response. But once we're down on the other end and we come down, even if the coach comes to me and says, hey, come on, you didn't get to tell me, or you didn't, coach, the game's going on. I'll talk to you at a dead ball or something. Continue to watch the play. Don't even look at the coach because it's live play. It's okay to respond, and I think we can respond. I'm not a big believer in some guys that say only answer a question. Don't talk to the coach unless they ask a question. Coaches don't ask questions all the time. They like to make statements, but they make statements because they are telling you that's not a foul. That wasn't a foul. What they mean to say is, how did you call that a foul? Or vice versa, right? So it's okay to make a, coach, that's what I got, or that's what I saw, and then you move on and you come down. If he's still on you, coach, I can't. I got to work here. Let me work. And then maybe the dead ball, we can go over and say, all right, listen, you want to talk about it? But for the most of the time, for the most part, coaches, they move on quickly. Very few coaches dwell on a call. They hold on to that call. Every time you come down, they're on you about that call. Most coaches, they'll make it about that call, plays on, we've all moved on. Definitely don't go back and say, coach, I just want to make sure, I want you to know I'm a good official. Can I tell you that? I just want to make sure that call, it was a great call. He doesn't care. Everybody understands the purpose of that clip? All right.
Yeah.
How about this one? This is a good one. This was one of my games. Dennis likes my games, right, Dennis? All right. So this is a free throw. All right. Watch the bench. Do you see the kid on the bench pointing like, hey, now the coach is like, wait, he was over the line. Do we see that? The other official's talking to the head coach. I'm going to back it up just a bit here. He's talking to the head coach. So he's, whatever they're talking about, didn't like the call, or I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's not paying attention. And this coach, the assistant coach, gets up and walks over to the line like, did you not see my coaches tell you? What's the deal? Come on. Now, At this point, I'm going to pause it. Does anybody think they should say and or do anything at this point? Is this acceptable? Is this within your range of those people are idiots? They don't understand the game. I shouldn't say idiots, but they don't know what's going on. They're just heightened emotionally. Or should we address it?
No, I think well, sometimes as an official, we have to own it. So if you missed something or if you didn't see something, that's exactly your answer. I'm sorry, coach, I missed it. But he has partners on the floor. But if the coach is right there, sorry, coach, I missed it. I'll talk to the team. Whatever. We sometimes just need to own it, or step away from the coach that you're chatting with because it's a distraction.
Now it can't obviously be, well, it could be the trail official, because he's preoccupied with this coach and he's trying to tamper the table. And who are these bench personnel communicating with?
This guy.
This center official, right?
Yep.
That's who they're talking to. And rightfully so. The center official's in that position. So I'm glad, but they're not allowed to do that. An assistant coach can't get up and voice his opinion on whatever he wants. He's allowed to coach his kids. A player, especially a player who's in a hoodie and not even wearing a uniform, he can't do that stuff. They're not allowed to do that. Now, I'm not saying assess a technical foul. I'm not saying that at all. But we now need to be at a heightened awareness as to these people are all complaining, and they shouldn't be doing that. And if we let that happen, that might grow into something more. Right? So he sits down. Oh, did you see the center official? Back it up just a bit. He's had enough. Sit down. Do we agree or disagree with that?
That's a good look. I like it.
I'll tell you what. Now that's me. You can tell me you don't like it. That's fine. I'm not going to hurt my feelings. That's me. And I do that a lot. When I've had enough, I'm not going to blow my whistle and stop play. They're looking right at me. I want to communicate to them that I hear them and I don't want to hear them anymore, or that I see them and I don't want to see them. And that's what I do. And most of the time it works because they just want recognition. They want validation that what they're saying is being heard.
So, Josh, do we do that from across the court?
I do.
I think that was the right thing for sure.
I will say, if I was on table side, I wouldn't have done that. I would have verbally used my voice. No one else would have heard it. But coach, sit down. Coach, I'm not going to listen to you.
Right. I don't know if it was something else that you showed us, but just remember the conversation around a subtle nod or just an acknowledgement, or
that would totally work too. I'm not saying that you need to do the point and sit down motion. I agree with you. I was at a heightened emotional level there because I just had a kid, a coach, and another coach get up and come over and say the same thing to me. Now, I saw what was going on. I know what's going on. They don't even, if you look at the line on the floor, just a side note, the floor is painted incorrectly. And this home team tells you when you come on, the painters did it wrong. The line that you're using is actually the brown line. So he can stand on the unpainted line. Well, when players stand on that unpainted line, nobody understands. They think they're on the line. So that's where a lot of it comes from. But my point is, I was at a heightened level because I don't want to listen to you. I don't need to listen to you. And I'm going to acknowledge that I'm done. I could have nodded. I could have smiled. I could have done lots of things. That's not what I did.
Josh.
Yeah.
Did the visiting team know that you could step on the line? Were they did they know about that, or was it something that just came up and nobody decided to let them know so you wouldn't have the problem?
It's a great question, because I don't know if they knew or not. I don't remember when we were told, beginning of the game, maybe. And we probably should have walked over and said, Coach, just so you know, this line, it doesn't happen sometimes. I'm guilty of it. You get information and okay, good. I got that information. I need to know that information to officiate the game. But I don't go over to the opposing coach and tell him, and I probably should. So they are at least informed. So yeah, maybe they didn't know, which is why they're up in arms. And I'm not saying that they weren't in their right to argue. They didn't have a legitimate reason to say, wait, he was on the line. What I'm saying is that's not their job. And if that's what they think, they tell their head coach to handle it. They don't tell across the floor the official who they don't like, right? Not T-worthy, in my opinion. You don't give a technical foul for that. You could, but that's a talk to.
I think and my own opinion, I think it would have been easier for the official that was talking to the coach could have said something to the coach that says, tell your assistant coaches to sit down right now, because he's responsible for them. And I'm not saying you were wrong in what you were yelling, but sometimes people think that you might be throwing somebody under the bus, yelling like that, or just enough so a lot of people in the stands could hear it. And then they figure, well, there's going to be problems.
All right, let's let the video continue and see what happened, because that's not the end of it. Watch the kid on the bench again, right? Here he goes again. Wait, he's still on the line. Are you kidding me? He's on the line. He stands up. All right. Now the coaches are down. The coaches understand. When you tell a coach with a finger to sit down, coaches understand. Players don't. So I came over. Tell your partner. Did I address the players or the assistant coaches? No. I went straight to the head coach because what, Dennis? Who's in charge of that?
Head coach is in charge of everybody on the bench.
That's right. So go to the head coach and I'll tell you exactly not exactly. What was said is, coach, everyone thinks this guy's standing on the line and I get it, but they cannot gesture or make big demonstrative motions showing that they don't like what I'm calling or not calling. I'm not going to have it. Can you please take care of the situation? That's a little long-winded. I think I was a little shorter that night, but and you're done. You're done. You tell the coach that you are going to handle it, or that he needs to handle it, and then walk away and let him handle it. If he doesn't handle it and it continues, then you could absolutely give a technical foul. I would probably maybe go still a warning, a bench warning. But to just go straight bench warning and put it in the book without going to the head coach saying, coach, this is what's going on. Can you handle it for me? Because most coaches, again, they understand. They don't want a technical foul to muck things up. You guys agree or disagree with that?
Agree.
Yeah, I think it was
didn't look
fine.
like you got much, not to put down our fellow officials, but it didn't look like you got much help from your partner talking to him.
Well, in my partner's defense, he was talking about something else. And when you talk to a coach about something, you can get engrossed in that conversation and be completely oblivious to everything else.
Okay.
I don't know what happened with them, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's
All right, let me rewind this. I want to set the stage here, okay? A call was made. I don't remember what call it was. I think it was a player control or whatever, but a call was made that this coach in the lavender shirt here did not like. And I find out later in the middle of the game, this coach and the official on the end line have a history. They do not like each other. And that's okay. That happens. You don't have to like all the coaches or try and get them to like you. Sometimes you just got to show up, work the game, get in and get out. But when this happened, this coach comes over and now he wants to complain to the other official here, right? So as the other official, just listen to him. What he was saying was 100% wrong. He didn't like the call. He got the call wrong. Why he's always out. He does this every game we have on us. Yeah, those are all not nice things to say, but he's just venting. Let him get it out. Let him talk to you. Be his friend for 5 seconds and then move on with the game. Do we understand?
yes.
Don't do the whole, I don't want to throw my partner under the bus. I want to make sure I back my partner up. I didn't throw him under the bus. I'm not backing him up. I'm just letting the coach. If he were to do that in my partner's ear, who doesn't like him, he would probably stick him. We don't want that either if we don't have to. He didn't say anything disparaging. Yeah, he says some things that you can tell they don't like each other. He didn't, but just listen and then move on. Doesn't mean stand there and talk to him for a minute and let everyone wait because we're talking to him. But
Yeah, and I think another good point is, and I think you mentioned it, is that we don't want to come out of a pregame with a bias that's been given to us by, a partner who has a history with a coach, to the point where you're not doing your normal stuff, even hearing a coach out or just, being your normal self. Basically, you have a quick trigger just because of what's been told to you.
I think that is a great point. I think this is the point you're making is if you have a history with a coach before the game starts in the locker room, just tell your partners. You don't have to be ashamed that he's blacklisted you in the past, or he doesn't like you, or he's bad. There's lots of coaches that don't like me. Well, I'm assuming, they probably all like me, but there's coaches that we're just not going to get along. But if we don't tell our partners, and now we've gotten this high faster than any of the other officials would have, your partners are going to go like, dude, wow, what happened? Right. So just give a heads up, and I'll be quicker to move in to save you if I see something starting, and we can move on.
Well, Josh, let me ask you a question. So is it better to share with your partner? I think it's great information to hear a history of a team. This team likes to do this team likes to do that, this player is good at this. But is it too much to get into a history of a coach? You know what I mean? Because it's like, what does that matter? I'm going to see it for myself. If the coach is an a-hole, I'm going to see that for myself without bias. Or are you telling me about the coach so I can have more patience? I mean, I'm just trying to understand your point.
Okay, so I'm not saying give the history of the coach. I'm saying you let your partners know, me and this coach, we don't have a good history. Me and this coach, we don't get along very well. Last time I had this coach, I gave him a technical foul. Something like that. Now your partners know, oh, okay. Don't go in and say, this coach is an a-hole. I mean, you can say that, I guess, but go in, just tell them that you had an issue. You may have an issue going forward and you don't want to have an issue. So I'm telling you, so in case something starts to transpire, we don't have an issue, right? Not, I did this and he did that. And then I said this and he said that. And he followed me into the locker room and I did that, right? You don't need to get into that. Just say, look, we don't like each other. I don't want to do something I don't want to do. Help me out if you see something happening. Does that make more sense?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Josh, how was it for the pregame when you all met? The officials and the coach, was everybody cordial or?
Yeah. And I think for the most part, even when you've got a coach that doesn't like you, before the ball is tipped up, for the most part, us officials, we can be cordial with everyone, right? Because every game is a new game. We all try to at least think and say to ourselves, I don't hold anything against this coach for this game. We're going to start from scratch. Although human nature says that that's probably impossible 100% to do. But if you go into it trying it, I think most coaches do the same. Okay, the last 3 games, maybe he walks in and goes, oh, we got Josh again, or this guy, or right? But he's going to start it with, all right, we're just going to play the game and we'll see how it goes. Doesn't mean it's not going to escalate faster than maybe it normally would. But I think coaches are just like officials. We try to start with a clean slate. So yeah, it was fine. Pre-games are fine. Who can tell me what's wrong with this one? I'm going to play it again. You see anything wrong with this? Remember, we're talking about handling coaches.
The coach looked like he was way out of the coaches. That guy right there.
Wait, he's out of this coach's box? What are you talking about, Dennis?
Well,
he's at the division line.
That's right.
Now, as this plays, I get it. You can't necessarily, you could, but you shouldn't necessarily give him a technical foul because what's happening at that point?
I mean, I love the fact that he was so zeroed in on the action.
And he just ignored him because the other team has the ball and they're advancing the ball, right?
Right. But sometimes that's like the best. I love that. I mean, especially if you're having enough of a coach, not even turning to look at him, It's just, sometimes you're holding your cool, but you're also conveying a message. I don't have time for that.
Now, this is one of those coaches that has a history, that has a reputation. And everybody knows it doesn't make it right. Everybody knows he comes out of the box. He gets excited easily, which is what he is here, right? But this has to be addressed. Now, it doesn't have to be addressed right now. And I agree with this official, not addressing it at this moment. Now, did you see he turned his head a little bit here? Let's see if I can get it. He turned his head just slightly, as in saying something. Coach, calm down. Coach, I got it. Coach, I hear you. All right. And that might be all you need to do to address it, but it needs to be addressed. Or, Coach, you got to stay in the box. Coach, help me out, or something. If it continues 2, 3, 4 times in a row, you might have to stop play. Not while the other team is advancing the ball, but you might have to go poop, poop, tweet, and walk over and say, you don't have to put an official warning in the book. You can, but just say, Coach, if you can't stay in your box, I can't have you all the way up here. If you can't stay in your box, I'm going to have to give you a technical foul. Help me out. Okay. Now, you're not threatening him. You're warning him. You're telling him, if you can't do something, then I have something that I have to do, right? Don't say, Coach, I'm going to give you a T if you don't get back in that box. That's a threat, right? And I know it's very similar, and there's a fine line into how you say it, but you got to let them know, and you got to say something, or it's going to continue. And I guarantee you, in Illinois, this tape gets out downstate, they're going to say, why didn't you give the guy technical foul? He was at the division line. He wasn't even close to being, a foot on the line. So we've got to address it at the very least.
All right, Josh, give me a second. I got to put a line through that one off my things to say to coach list. I got to line that one. Apologize.
All right. Just a few more, and then I'll let you guys go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding that out of the box thing. I mean, I've always kind of felt that if he's coaching his kids, not that he's yelling at you.
Okay, first of all,
he's coaching his kids.
You're not talking about that play, right? Because he wasn't coaching his kids. Okay.
No.
It's a hard one, because I agree with you. If he's not yelling at me, I don't need to address him. However, if he's coaching his kids at the division line, is he not gaining an advantage over the other team?
Sure.
I'm not saying boom right away, but address it, coach. Now, if both coaches are doing it, you're even more in a hard place, because nobody wants to give a technical foul for a coach's box. Nobody. Well, I'm sure maybe some do, but most people don't. We don't. Now, during live action, if he's coaching his kids, absolutely, he can get away with almost everything, because I'm not watching him. I'm looking at the floor, right? He's behind me. Even if I'm across the floor, I'm not looking over at him. I'm looking at the players. So that point is, don't go looking if he's out of his box. He's coaching his kids. We don't even have to have an ear as to what's he doing over there. If he's yelling at me and he's out of his box, I'm still not going to give him a technical foul right away. Depends, one, how bad is he yelling at me? But two, am I able to say, Coach, get in your box? And a lot of the times I will, before I even listen to anything a coach has to say, if he's out of his box, I will walk over and say, get in your box. I can't talk to you till you're in your box. These coaches know they're not going to get teed up for it, but most of them have been teed up. So just don't threaten them, but let them know. So but to your point, if they're coaching their kids and the play is going on, absolutely, we can ignore it for the most part, but we can't allow them to. I mean, if he come to the division line, why can't he just go stand in front of the other team's bench? I mean, you might as well let him.
Yeah.
I know I'm being sarcastic.
That I wouldn't let go.
Oh, I like this one. I'm going to stop it right there. How in the world, as an official, can you work with the coach standing in front of you?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I get it. You don't want to tee him up. And for those that don't know, this coach has a reputation too, and will yell at you about the littlest thing. I get that. but you cannot let him do this. If he wants to stand, half on the line, half off the line, and you want to kind of ignore it, fine. But if he steps in front of you, do and/or say something. Looks to me as though he's just ignoring it. Don't ignore that.
That's crazy.
This is a state final game. Okay, so my point is, it's not just guys who are learning and guys who are trying to get up. This happen. Guys let this happen. And why do they let it happen? Just my opinion, because they're afraid to give a coach a technical foul for being out of the box, right? And I get it. I don't like it either. But if you're going to stand in front of me,
they're afraid for promotion, and they won't get any more playoff games because they'll get a black ball or something.
Final game, it might not be that. Maybe they're afraid to be that ref on not national TV, but local TV at a state final game where every point counts to just turn it over, make it about the referees, not about the players.
Yep.
Where we can't let them stand in front of us. And I'm not saying again to stop play. I'm not saying that at all. Very easy. You kick your hand out, put it so the coach can see it, and say, "Coach." You don't have to say anything else. Coach. He knows he's out of his box. He knows he's not supposed to be there, especially at a state final game in Bloomington or wherever they play now. That's all you need. And he will back up. And if he doesn't back up with your help, then you can give him a technical foul or a warning. You could give a bench warning for that.
There was this one game where the coach kept on coming into the court, as I'm, trying to get through. And I just told her, I said, "Coach, I need my sideline." But, you're running down the court. You're looking at the action. You're not looking at who's in front of you. I told the coach, if I run into you, if I bump you going down the sideline after I've already warned you, I'm giving you a tech. I'm just letting you know it's going to be a tech. And he got out of my way, but I'm just saying, it's that okay to say? Or
I think that's fine. You're telling him the consequence. Coach, if you don't stay out of my way and I run into you, it's going to be a technical foul. Right? You're not saying, "Coach, I'm giving you a technical foul next time I come down here. If I run into you, that's different. Coach, I don't want to have to do this, but if you keep getting them in the way." Now, I'm also want to say this. I've heard guys say they would do this. I haven't heard anyone said, don't run into a coach purposefully because they're on the court in your way. Go around them, right? And yes, they're not supposed to be there. And yes, they're impeding our way, but if to intentionally bump, running into a guy unintentionally is one thing, but to intentionally do it, that's we've got to raise above that and stay above.
Josh, that's two. I got to take that one off my list too. Okay. No running into coaches. Dang.
Josh, that's a real issue. I can't tell you how many times I've, when the ball gets stolen and goes the other way, and that guy wants to come down your sideline with the ball, you have got to give him right away. Meaning you've got to get yourself off of the court, I think, to prevent him from making a decision. He can't come down that sideline to beat his defender because you're there. I think that's a bad thing. So to your point, to the other guy's point, yeah, you're going to run into the coach when you do that if he's in the wrong place.
And if you do run into a coach, now we still have discretion. We always have discretion. The rules book, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. There was 1 year they changed all the words in the rule book, all the words to must. A player must do this. A coach must do that. You must do this.
Oh.
It lasted 1 year. And then the next year they changed them all back to shall. Now it's basically the same meaning, right? Shall and must, but must is a no, there's no other choice. Shall is a, well, and they do that because every situation you're able to, all right, I don't want to do it there. I shall, but I've chosen not to. My point is, if you run into a coach, you don't necessarily have to, but boy, now it's up to the 90 percentile of that's a technical foul. You're on the court in my way and you ran into me. That's a technical foul. Okay. Then you could say, "Oh, coach, come on. If I run into you again, I'm going to have to give it however you want to handle it, but you're 100% in your right. If you run into a coach because a play goes the other way and you're hustling and you run into him, that's a technical foul. Now, again, don't do it on purpose, but
Okay.
but it happens. And you're right. It's a problem. There's some coaches that are worse than others. And most coaches, even the ones that are, the ones that are bad at it, are the first ones to say, oh, I'm sorry. Because they're just so emotionally into the game.
Sure.
They're on the court. They're not even trying to get an advantage of being closer. They're just into it. And so we got to help them, calm down.
I got a comment. I think there's one thing you're saying, being out of the box and running down the sideline. There's another thing to being on the court. I mean, I've done many games where I've told the coach, you got to get off the court. They can't be on the court. They're going to run in. You're going to run into them. They're going to run into you. They're going to hit the ball. They're going to run into another player. They're going to trip somebody, and they can't be on the court.
Okay.
They're on the court. We've all seen them on the court, especially in the Catholic League. They're on the court. You're like, coach, get off the court.
So I just want to clarify, and Tim, if I'm not understanding you properly, correct me, but on the court, and we're not being technical here, because on the court is stepping on the line. If you've got your toe on the line, you're on the court, but that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about clearly all the way on the court, not even on out of bounds at all. A foot, 2 foot, 3 feet. Some of these coaches, they come 3-4 feet out. And sometimes these coaches, when it's on the other end of the court, they're out 3-4 feet coaching. And they're going to get away with it if they're coaching their kids. Why? Because we're watching the players. We're not going to be looking for that.
Exactly.
So if they come back off, but if you know that they're doing it, you see out of the corner of your eye, you might want to go over and say, coach, you got to help me out, because if we have a fast break this way or a turnover and I run into you, to Paul's point, if I run into you, then I'm going to have to give you a technical foul. And I don't want to do that. If you tell them, giving them the option of like, look, I'm trying to be your friend here, they're going to take it as that. Right? All right.
Agreed.
All right. I got one more video I want to show. And I thought I'd get to show more of these, and I know I'm putting a lot of assumption into this play, but that's what I do. So, all right, calls a foul, right? Waves off the shot. How does the coach react? Not poorly, but doesn't like it, because he calls him over, asks him a question, disagrees, agrees. I don't know what's going on, but they're having a conversation how he didn't like it. No, he did this. He ran into him. He did that. And the official's like, okay, well, that's what I got. I'm okay with all of this. I'm going to pause it. That is great. Wonderful. Play is going on. And he's able to stand there, shoulder to shoulder, watching the action and still talking to the coach, appeasing him, validating his comments, whatever he's doing. He's validating that, yes, you're talking to me. Yes, it's what I had. Okay. But then when it goes the other way, now, to be fair, we've got 2 fouls here and here, right? The lead and the trail, they both have their whistle up. But do you think that foul was called because they thought it was a foul, or because the last coach was upset about their first foul? Here's the slow-mo. Not even close. Did you see that? There was not, contact wasn't even, in my opinion, there was a good
like there was any.
2.5 feet in between them the whole time. Now, he didn't have the best angle. I get that. And the trail didn't have the best angle. All right, I get that too. But I think that foul happened because now there's a heightened sense of, oh, that coach didn't like it. So if I can get one on this end and maybe he'll like me again. Stop that whole, I want coaches to like me too. I want a good rating too. I want to be able to have a reputation of that's a good official. But if we officiate to try and make coaches like us, we're going to make calls that aren't right. We're going to make calls that are 100% wrong, not even judgment. It's going to be skewed, and maybe not in our mind, but because we're thinking of, all right, good. Now we're even again. right? Oh, it's 7-2, 7-2 in fouls. Okay. Boop. Oh yeah, I got a quick one. No, we shouldn't be officiating that way. That doesn't mean don't be aware of foul situations. It doesn't mean don't be aware that that coach doesn't like us because we just called 4 fouls in a row on their kid. Not saying that, but you cannot premise a foul based on how the coach is reacting. In fact, I pat myself in the back here. I love it when I got a foul, the coach is like, are you kidding me? And then the very next foul, boop, on his same kid or the same team.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm calling fouls here. I don't care if you like me or don't like me. I'm going to call the fouls and keep the game fair. That's our job. I mean, I don't want coaches to dislike me. I think it's true. Nobody does, right? We all want to be liked. Or not liked, respected. We all want people to know that the call I made is actually a great call. And I know you don't understand it because you don't know the nuance or the minutia of the rule. But that's not, we can't convince people to like us or to understand the rule or whatever it may be. So
Yeah,
hopefully
that. I agree
hopefully
with
that was helpful, guys. I don't know. What do you guys, did you guys like that?
All good. All good.
Well, I agree with your comment on that too, Josh. I don't think it's our job to even up the calls to make the coach feel happy because, oh, we helped you out now. We got one for you. That's not our job.
I mean, and 9 out of 10 games, it definitely isn't even. One team is better than the other. One team plays better defense than the other, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. And we have to call the game the way we see it.
Yep. One team's press and one team's in a zone. You're right.
Yeah, just to quickly before, I mean, you guys can log off if you want, but that's one of the things that we hear a lot, right? The fouls. It's 7-2, it's 8-1, it's whatever it may be. And that's a legitimate complaint by a coach, but at the same time, it's not a legitimate complaint, right? Because of what you guys said. Sometimes one team is more aggressive than the other. Sometimes one team drives the lane and the other team shoots the 3-pointer, right? All game. So there's lots of different factors, but do not, in my opinion, go to a coach and say, it's 7-2. Well, coach, that's because you're shooting all threes and they're driving the lane. Because the next time he drives the lane and you don't call a foul, he's going to be all over you. So don't tell him that. Just say, I mean, a lot of guys like to be flippant and joke, and I just call them. I don't, count them or whatever. I don't do that because if that coach really is upset, he doesn't want to hear that. Yeah, it's funny to us, but he doesn't think it's funny. So just say, okay, coach, or I know, yes, I see that, whatever. You can acknowledge without giving them some witty thing that's going to make them think you're a jerk. All right. Any questions?
No, it was good. Good session.
Thanks as always, Josh.
Sure. Make
Good
sure
stuff.
you go to the YouTube page. It got stuff coming all the time. Like and subscribe. Share it with somebody who wasn't on because we're only going to reach more people if you all share it and reach more people. I can only get to so many. And I'm not that I'm the be all end all of officiating, but if we can all get on the same page and try to see things more consistently, it's never going to be the same from official to official, never. But the closer we can get, the better the game's going to get. So that's the point.
You are the be all end all of all officiating. Don't sell yourself short, man.
All right, I'm gonna mark that on my list.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a good night.
Have a good evening.
We'll see you next month.
Beautiful.